So last time we talked about how there are these three primitive types that we're going to pass around. We have words or strings, we have numbers or integers, we have true false or booleans. So these are like the three primitive types of values that we can pass around. Now, the other big thing in code obviously is functions, or having your code essentially do stuff. Like all of the doing stuff part of code is the functions part. And I would argue here that there are going to be two primitive functions that we have. So the first one is going to be if, and this, if you look at this, if you think about this as a function, it takes a boolean as a parameter, and then it says in a very primitive way, if this boolean value is true, we're going to do whatever is in this block here. So in this case, I'll just do print line name, and then we'll say, okay, if is old, we're going to print out name plus is old. And my compiler is yelling at me because there's better ways to do this, but this is like the very basic beginner stuff. So if we just run this, say Tom is old. Whoa. So like that's the first primitive function. The second half of this primitive function, I guess, is the else block. Um, so this essentially says if old is false, we're going to do this block instead. So now if you can see, I have this same thing. Run it again. It's Tom is old because this is true. If I change this to false, it is now going to say Tom is not old. And this is the first primitive function. The second sort of primitive function is a little bit more complicated, so bear with me here. We're going to do, and this primitive function is called a loop. So let's actually do a while loop is simpler. So this is going to say, okay, while, this is going to take this one parameter. This is also going to be a boolean. So if we put is old in here, then we're going to do, we'll take the same print statement. This while loop is going to say, while this parameter that I am given is true, we're going to repeat this section over and over again here. So if I run this, it's never going to end because we never, or it's not going to run at all because this is false. But if we do true here, we're going to do, it's going to keep running forever saying Tom is old, which is very discouraging for me. But these are like the two basic, very primitive functions. So all data is built off of these three things, or two and a half things if you want to count Boolean. And then all logic is built off of these three concepts, or these two concepts, two and a half if you want to include else properly. So yeah, that is the function side of primitives.